Well, hey everyone. I hope you are having an amazing, amazing day. It's Susan Sly, and this is Bulletproof Monday. This is the time when I work with you to help you go for your goals and succeed, and with no nonsense. I mean, who really wants nonsense? I know I don't have time for nonsense. Anyway, today we're going to talk about cha-cha-cha changes. So, what happens when your child is suddenly, off to school and you decide you're going back to school, or you want to start a business or change your career, whatever it is. And I want to dedicate today's live to my friend Ashley. So where this all came from, I like to take inspiration from my real life and bring it to our Monday trainings. And so I was out with at one of my kids' schools, and my girlfriend Ashley was there, and she's thinking of going back to school. And her daughter is now in grade 4, and she's like, I watch every live, I listen to your podcast. And I'm like, Ashley, this is dedicated to you, because I think if Ashley is thinking about this, I know a lot of you are. And so today we're going to dive into, whether you want to go back to school or start a business or change your career or start another business when you've got a business or whatever it is. How do you do that with grace? And how do you do that successfully? Because I've also seen people who do these things and it's not successful, and they end up dropping out, getting overwhelmed, losing their business, quitting. And that's not what I want for you. You want to become bulletproof. So before I do that, a couple of quick announcements. So first and foremost, my class, Business Academy, where I teach you to go from idea to inception of an online business in 6 weeks, that is coming up November 7th. And you can go to susansly.com. And if you use the coupon code GROW, that's all small letters, GROW, you can get $1,000 off that class. I'm serious. So if you want to start a coaching business, make money from webinars, do all those things, you can learn from someone who's actually done it and has managed to very successfully navigate those waters. So check that out. Another quick announcement, if you want to come work with my digital marketing agency, the cost to enter the agency is just purchasing the software we use, which is Infusionsoft. Right now we have a special for your first 6 months. You can get 40% off your app. So you just go to www.theagency8, it's the number 8.com. You can sign up there. And so what happens is we teach you and you just pay for your software. So again, it's a tax write-off, and I know many of you asked me about that. So go ahead, check that out. And especially if you have a business, you need a way to communicate, and that's what we do. We teach you how to do that. So in other exciting news, I was just appointed today as Chief Communications Officer for a AI startup called Radius AI. And so that's going to be cool. I'm going to be telling you more about that, but so ensconced in the tech world. Oh my gosh. Anyway, let's get down to it. Well, it's great to see all of you, and let's talk about how we do this successfully. The reality is that the average person now is going to change careers about 11 times. 11 times as an adult. So, I see Laura's here, chances are she's gone through several iterations of her career as a business owner. So 11. And the days of just staying with the same job, the same employer for years and years and years, those don't really exist that much anymore. And I know when I was growing up, a lot of my friends were told, go to school, get a good job, and then get a pension. And so I grew up with an entrepreneurial father. He never told me that stuff. He was like, Susan, the skills pay the bills. And, don't even think about that. As long as you have skills, you'll never go hungry, and don't rely on anyone else for money. Always rely on yourself. So thanks, Dad, for that great advice. It's always served me well. And the other fact is the average employee only stays with their job about 4.5 years. So we are in a very different dynamic. People do expect to pivot, millennials especially. I love millennials. I was texting with Connor Blakely today. You can see him often in Fast Company and Inc. magazine. I'm making him dinner. I'm like, come to my house for dinner. I'll make you dinner. He's good friends of mine, and also good friends with my daughter. But, millennials, and especially Gen Z or Gen Z, depending where you live, they don't expect that they're going to be with one employer for 35 years. Even people who are going to school to become a teacher or a nurse, they're not expecting to be with the same school or the same hospital. And so the reality is times have changed, and because times have changed, we have to change with the times. We are going to go through several iterations of our career. Often what we go to university for is not what we're actually doing. My undergrad degree is actually a science degree in psychology. I wanted to be a surgeon, and then I did a pivot. I started to write technology. We were doing things like facial recognition and doing, different custom tech that would actually help catch offenders. And that was back in the late 80s. I was coding and doing all that stuff. And it's so funny. For years, I worked in health and fitness, and I still do. But now I'm back to doing facial recognition, artificial intelligence, and that whole tech world. So it's amazing how things come around. In my own life, these are some of the career pivots. Are you guys ready? So I have done everything from have a paper route. I started my own business at 11. I've been a waitress. I've been a bus girl. I've been a dishwasher. I have worked in a stock brokerage. I worked for a charity. I've been a personal trainer, nutritionist, full-time sales, commission sales rep. I've been a sales manager for the largest health club chain in the world. I built a very successful network marketing business. What else have I done? Oh my gosh. Oh, retail. I sold skis. I was a professional athlete. I made money for racing. I mean, think about all the different careers. And some people will say to me, Susan, it's like you're 900 years old. You've done so much. And I know you guys have too, right? You've had these changes. Now, sometimes we change because we want to, and sometimes we change because we feel we have to. And that's where I want to really dig in today. So if you're new to Bulletproof Monday, on Bulletproof Monday, this is my big gift. This is where I serve you. This is where I'm sharing my wisdom. It's free coaching. It's free training. And these are the kinds of things that sometimes you'll pay to learn in classes and go to seminars. And I know that wherever you are in the world, this stuff is invaluable that I'm teaching from my own experience and, being out there in the business world. So today I want to talk about how do we do this? How do we start the business, go back to school, scale our business, and have these changes without really, truthfully losing our family, it impacting our relationships, losing our health in the process. So again, I was inspired by my friend Ashley, and I want to jump in. So I always take notes. Hey, Bruce. Hey, Calvin. Hey, Tracy. So the first tip I want to give you is to interview people who have made the leap before. And if you are a subscriber to my newsletter, go to susansly.com. If you want these yummy notes that I always write out, I send them to my database every Tuesday. So I do the live on Monday, and the database gets the notes on Tuesday. So if you want these notes, go to susansly.com, sign up. I'll give them to you. So right now, I'm in the process of doing a tech startup. So just to give you the 50,000 foot view of my world, I am a professional speaker. I am an author. I own my brand, Susan Sly. And then as a subset of that brand, I wanted to solve a problem because I'm teaching organization and productivity. So I started a digital marketing agency that would help people use technology to become more productive, right? With their lead generation and follow-up and all sorts of stuff. So that all falls under that roof. I have a network marketing business that is very, very robust. I've been with the same company for 15 years. And then now I am also building custom software. Now, all of the things that I do, all roads kind of lead to the same place, which answers this question: how can I help people become more productive so they can lead a ridiculously fulfilling life? So I'm in the process of going through the tech startup phase. Now, just so you guys know, it could be really daunting because the reality is that, first and foremost, you've got to prove a concept, then you've got to build tech, and then you've got to beta test it. And then if the beta test is good, you come back and say, do I need to pivot? Do I need to go forward? And then let's say everything's going well, you've got to capitalize it, your dev team, everything. And then you go to a pre-Series A funding round, and then you go to Series A full funding, right? So that's what I'm going through. And then on top of it, I'm also assisting my friend with his startup in the AI space, and I'm assisting him with his funding round and building his investor deck and going out and pitching to investors and acting as his chief communication officer. So think about it, all the balls I've got in the air, plus my kids, podcasts, like everything. I mean, it's a lot, right? And so when you think about that, I don't have time to waste. And so what is the fastest way to learn how to do something? It's to learn from someone who's already successfully done it, right? So when I'm teaching you guys, if you come to work with me in Business Academy or OYL, I'm teaching you as someone who's already successfully navigated those waters, not someone who's teaching something they're either not doing themselves or have never done. And there are people out there like that. And, I'm not saying they don't have great content, they do, but I'm just saying that's just how I prefer to do it. So before I even went into the tech incubator, I interviewed people who had started tech companies and successfully sold them. So whether one person I know, he built a tech company, sold it for 181 million. Then my friend Jeff, I did a podcast with him. He's 17 months into his startup, and he was telling me about all the mistakes that he's made. Then I have other friends, they built a company to about 35 million a year. Now they're doing a big pivot, and they're actually here in Phoenix going through the same process where they're going to do gamification for something they're doing, right? So I've been at networking events, I've asked the hard questions, and I've interviewed several people who've successful done it. If you are thinking about going back to school, growing any kind of business, go and ask yourself, who can I interview? Who can I get in front of? Is there an event I need to attend? Or even on Facebook Lives like mine, are there people who've navigated those waters that you can learn from? Because that's going to be the fastest way. You don't have time to waste. Even if you're thinking about going back to school and you have kids and you're like, oh my gosh, this could be overwhelming. Ask people, how did you do it? Did you have to hire some childcare? How did you navigate when you had homework and your child had homework? How did you do it all? So that's the first thing. The second thing is, don't change out of anger or fear. I know some of you, you're in business and maybe you're not having the most robust year in business and you're like, well, should I quit this business? Should I invest more in this business? What should I really be doing? Never change out of anger or fear, because that only leads to more anger and fear. Always change out of a desire to serve more people and to really find more fulfillment in what you're doing. And, the reality of it, any business that I've ever been successful in, my first question is, who do I want to serve? Why do I want to serve them? What pain points do they have? How can I solve those pain points? And at the end of the day, is this something I would do even if I wasn't getting paid? And when I ask myself those questions, then the money flows. In the last online business that I started, it was actually profitable in 4 hours because I go through that same process every single time. Does that make sense, everybody? The third thing is save your money, save your money, save your money. So when you're thinking about pivoting, whether it is going back to school or starting another business, or even let's say, I know some of you have one business and you're also investing in businesses, make sure you're saving and don't do any major transition unless you have 2 years of living expenses in the bank. That's just the bottom line. The fourth thing is get organized. Now, I teach organization, so I've got to bring the organization bent into it. I see a lot of people who don't transition well, either to a new career or starting a business on the side while you're still working, or going back to school or going to night school while you're still working and parenting, because they're so disorganized. And that's why, when I teach these Bulletproof Mondays, I'm saying, always keep one central notebook. So I just use these Mead 5-star spiral notebooks. Now, I'm half Chinese, so I like the red notebook, okay? But anyway, all my notebooks are red, basically. But what I do is, because I have 3 areas that, that I have a zillion areas I could focus on at any one time, but essentially all of my interests fall into 2 companies, even though there are subdivisions of those companies. And so as I'm going through my day, I'm being very intentional. What action did I take toward that? What are my priorities today? Even this morning, I got up super early and I was just in prayer and meditation and going, what are my priorities today? Because what I thought my priorities would be today are different than what I would have thought they were last week at this exact same time. Because even for me, from Friday morning till now, I became Chief Communications Officer of a company that is most likely to become $1 billion company. I'm now helping them with their capital raise. Last Monday, that wasn't the case. I'm running a 1,700 person beta test in my network marketing company. I'm leaving to go train for that company on Wednesday. I've obviously running my digital marketing agency. And then Saturday, I got a text, my kids' godparents are in town. Can I use your boardroom? So I've got people in my offices. It's different. And if you are going to make a change, going back to school, changing your job, whatever it is, you have to be prepared that things are going to come at you. Okay. And so the more organized you are, the more you can mitigate risk. So I know, okay, I have some different variables going on, but now I can just reorganize my time, reprioritize my time. I had a meeting today with my 2 senior staff, and I said, okay, our priorities have changed now given this new dynamic, right? And so it happens. And so just knowing that, the more organized you are, the better it's going to be. And the 5th thing is to do your research. So Ashley, shouts out to her. I said to her, so which school are you going to go to? And she said, actually, you know what? I'm going to different schools right now, and I'm paying attention to their curriculum. Is it going to give me what I want? And is it going to fit in with my daughter's schedule? Now, a lot of people will just jump in. They'll say, okay, I'm going to take some courses, or I'm going to do a master's degree part-time or whatever. And they're not asking those questions. So yes, it's a great thing. Yeah, I want to do an MBA and I want it to be from that school. But what if that curriculum doesn't fit in with your family life and your kids end up resenting you and you end up getting divorced? So it's great. You have a brand name MBA, but now you're single and you're going through divorce proceedings, right? So being able to do your research is really key. Before I started with my tech incubator, I researched for a good 6 months, and I went to their networking events. I interviewed the CEO. I interviewed other people who come through that process. I was doing a ton of research to make sure it was the right fit and would it fit in with my life when I had so many other things going on, right? And it's the same thing for you. If you're thinking about making a change, let's say you're thinking about starting an online business. I am just going to do an overt sell for my class, because when I take you through Business Academy, you spend $997 to work with me. I'm going to be very clear about what you need to know how to do. You're going to save so much time and money going through that process, as opposed to hiring someone to do it for you. And then maybe you decide you want to do one thing. You want to be a life coach, but as you come through that process, maybe that's not what your business is at all. And one of my clients, her name is Kim, shouts out to you. I was doing some work with her on Friday, and she wants to build a 6-figure coaching business. And the first place we started was her pricing model. We then went into, okay, who are you marketing to? How can you create great value? What's your value proposition? And, it was a 15-minute phone call. And then she came out the other side. I had 7 items of homework for her, but her business is now going to look different. And we decided that she's going to have 2 different offerings, not just one offering, right? And it's the same thing for you. Doing your research, you may think, oh, I have the best idea on the planet and I'm going to make all this money. But one of the things that I want you to think about very clearly is doing things like split testing, doing things like surveying. We went into the tech incubator last week, and we have this idea, and they were pushing back going, well, you're making assumptions about that avatar. And I said, no, I don't think I am. But you know what? Here's the thing. Right now, you guys are going A to B to C. I would like to come back to the table and go A to -C. Let me go survey that avatar group. And so that night I created a survey, deployed it. We had a great response to the survey. It was pretty intense, and came back and said, here are our findings based on what our assumptions were. And they were like, you know what? No venture who's come through this has ever gone back and surveyed people and come back so conclusive. So I'm not saying, we have all the answers yet, but one of the things I do know from a research perspective is where people get in trouble is assumptions. And I see businesses close all the time. You thought your cupcake shop was going to make all this money. So you took all your savings, you quit your teaching job, you got a business startup loan, you signed a year-long lease in a high traffic area, and you make amazing cupcakes. But what you forgot is everyone was living keto and no one wants carbs anymore. You didn't do your research. Things like Google Trends are very important. It's a free tool. Just go Google Trends. You're going to be able to pull it up. Things like doing surveys with SurveyMonkey. Those are very easy to do. That's, something you can do to see if your idea has any merit. But either way, no matter what it is you want to do your research. And a lot of that research, thanks to social media and different tools, can be done for free. Number 6, expect frustration. When you pivot, you're always going to encounter things you didn't think were going to happen, honestly. And, even a friend of mine who's doing a startup today, he's like, oh my gosh, I have to deal with this and this. I never anticipated that was going to be something I was dealing with, right? So expect to be frustrated, because if you expect, and I do believe that, whatever we put out there, we pray on, we visualize, we're going to get. But I'm not saying you're like, oh yes, I want this frustration. Just know there is going to be frustration. It's going to be that time. Let's say you're going back to school and you have an exam, and your child also has an exam, and your partner is late from their business trip, and then suddenly you're like pulling your hair out, right? When we first moved to Arizona from Canada, I thought I anticipated everything, and I thought this could happen, that could happen. There were so many things that I didn't anticipate, like going to the DMV, and they didn't want to give me a driver's license for longer than 6 months because they didn't understand the kind of visa I was here on, or applying for my green card and getting rejected based on network marketing, even despite the fact I paid multiple 7 figures in taxes since I moved to the United States 4 years ago. I didn't expect that. But, if we understand that life gives us some frustration, then we can also understand that, that's just par for the course. And anyone who successfully transitions to anything, there's going to be frustration. And the last tip I want to give you for any kind of change you want to make in your career is about networking. I feel so grateful for the network I have. I can literally pick up the phone, and if I want a Gen Z or Gen Z expert, I can call someone. If I want a LinkedIn expert, I can call someone. If I want a Facebook traffic expert, I can call someone. If I want an SEO expert, I can call someone. If I have an amazing network. And the thing is, if you are going to make a change, whatever it is, let's say you're going back to school, at some point you're going to have to go networking for a job, start networking. Maybe your kids go to a school and there are some pretty powerful people there. Get to know them, take them for lunch, take them for coffee, invite them to your next ugly sweater party, whatever it is for you, get out there. And one of the things I look at with my network is not what can I get from my network, but how can I serve my network? So little things like just sending a text or a voice message or a video and saying, hey, thank you for being in my life, you're awesome. Or you find out someone's coming to town, offer to make dinner for them, or take them out, or do something, take them to church, do something. Because the more robust your network, the more successful you're going to be when you're changing your career or you're doing anything that's different. So hopefully today you've had some great advice. Don't forget, I do read all of your comments. And the reality is, if this has been great for you, I would love for you to share it, like it, repost it, do everything that you do. And if you have a topic for Bulletproof Monday, just go to www.susansly.com. Hit me up on the chat bot on my Drift, and let me know what that topic is. I'd love to entertain your ideas. And with that, being an entrepreneur, being in business, life, yes, sometimes there are challenges, but you know what? You're strong. You're amazing. You're destined for greatness. And as I say to my kids every single night, you truly can be, do, and have anything you dream. So with that, God bless. And again, if you want the notes from any Bulletproof Monday, go to www.susansly.com. My subscribers get the Monday notes. All right. Goodbye, everyone.